Hello everybody, welcome to SportsBeat on WOUB. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jack, your host for today, and joining me at the desk is
Andrew Levites,
Simon Lupfer,
Luke Schmitt.
Today's episode has an exciting list of news and recaps from the past week. Let's take a look at the rundown of today's topics. As always, OU athletics, starting with football's big win over West Virginia. An impressive first week for the NFL. Our Deal or No Deal segment is back. College football recap and our upset watch selections, weekly awards, and much more. SportsBeat starts right now. So, Ohio University has announced that they've hired a new athletic director, former South Dakota State University athletic director, or deputy director of athletics, Slade Larscheid. He would oversee the day-to-day operations of the department, which include 19 sports and 500-plus student athletes. He was a 3-year letterman for Northwestern Wildcat football team, earning an academic All-Big Ten and Scholar Athlete honors in 2006.
Big news. Welcome, Slade.
Welcome, Slade. Come on.
Let's go.
His time at South Dakota State featured an FCS national championship in 22-23 for the football team and a 14th overall finish in the NCAA wrestling championships. South Dakota State's women's basketball team made 4 tournament appearances under Larscheid as AD, including 2 tournament wins, 2 men's basketball tournament appearances, and SDSU's volleyball team just made the tournament last year as well. So what do we think expectations will be for Larscheid? I'm hoping, at least with his previous experience, that we'll see a little more focus on some other sports. I hear a lot of people on campus talk mostly about football and basketball, a little bit of hockey there in the winter, but I feel like I don't hear enough about our, volleyball, baseball, soccer teams, and I feel like I'm hoping with his experience as about 5 years as an athletic director or deputy director, that we'll be able to see a little more focus on that and get some more popularity focused in on them.
Yeah, and based off of, his history with the SD State's women's basketball team, our program here in Athens has been struggling as of late, and if, he could use his experience with that to help with the women's basketball program, with recruiting, and things of that nature, that would be a huge win for the Bobcats.
Yeah, Jack, you talk about we're not hearing much about kind of these other sports, and I think we've definitely had reason to hear about soccer in recent years, but, we haven't had much reason to hear about volleyball, hear about women's basketball, but we have a winner now, right? And we're bringing in a guy who has seen what it takes to build these successful programs, and I think that's huge just to have that experience coming in. And yeah, kind of to your point, I'm hoping that with that experience we see those sports kind of become relevant again in Athens.
Yes, building off what you just said about experience, he was at FCS school, South Dakota State, and they're kind of, I don't want to say a big market, but they're a big name in the FCS world. It's them and North Dakota State battling out every year. So I really like how, even though he comes from an FCS school, he has that experience of winning. And I, like you guys said, I really think he can help attribute that to football and all the other sports in the program.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as you said, I feel like, and as you had said, Simon, as well, that some of our sports don't often get a lot of focus just because there's not a whole lot to talk about at the moment. Like with our women's basketball team, they've been a little underperforming. They've been a little under expectations. But I'm hoping that, with the long-term experience of working with sport administration for universities, that we'll be able to see some change in those programs and bring more attention to them through on.
Yeah, and a new AD, who knows if that was the change that these programs actually needed.
Right.
But, wishful thinking, obviously. But I think just with the pedigree that Slade has, you can't help but hope that good things are coming from him.
Yeah. Now, moving on, Saturday at 4 p.m. last Saturday, Ohio University football played West Virginia at Peden Stadium, and what a game that was.
What a game. Cinema.
I was going to say, Luke, I'll pass it over to you for a little bit.
Yeah, this was, a game. Like, this was arguably one of the biggest games in Ohio football history, especially a game not to a MAC opponent, which really, Battle of the Bricks, other games against Toledo really get that highlight. But this game, it really reminded me a lot of that Iowa State game from 2 years ago. Win against a Big 12 team where, they're kind of closely playing each other all game. And it really seemed like it too on the field. Like Parker Navarro, he kind of looked like Curtis Rourke at some points. Coleman Owen, Chase Hendricks. I saw a lot of similarities between the 2023 football team and the 2025 football team. And I've really liked what we've seen in these two first games. And this is kind of jumping the gun, but they've built upon their team last year. They have a decent amount of returners. They have good. They have Ben Garrett coming back. And I really liked seeing how they lost to Kentucky last year and out of conference, and seeing how they can put that together against the West Virginia team this year.
Yeah, I think we have to talk about the atmosphere in Peden during this game. 26,740 fans. That's a stadium record, and I have a hard time seeing when are we gonna break that in the near future, right? It was absolutely electric in there. We were talking last week about, okay, what's the split going to be between WVU fans to OU fans? And I was actually kind of surprised.
I think it was about, I'm going to give WVU 40 maybe, but I think our 60 was loud.
I think our 60 was loud.
Yeah.
And I think the Bobcat fans maybe showed up a little more than I was expecting them to this Saturday.
Yeah.
So give them credit for that.
And also giving credit to it's funny seeing OU kind of get national recognition. I don't know if that's just my Twitter this week, but I've seen a lot of
the meme team, man.
Angry Mountaineer fans, Pat McAfee giving recognition.
Right.
So it's been cool to watch how other schools see OU is a good football team. It's also kind of funny seeing Miami be like, oh, their little brother, we beat them every year. So that gives us more incentive to even beat them more in next couple weeks.
I just want to talk a little bit more about this Parker Navarro performance, because I thought it was really interesting, because there was moments where he looked like Parker Navarro, like he looked like the best player on the field, and then there was moments where he kind of got ahead of himself. He was trying to play hero ball. A lot of those picks, it was him extending plays, and I don't know, if we had lost this game, I think we would talk about his performance in a much more negative light, obviously, but we ended up winning. He made the big plays when he needed to, but there was definitely some sloppy play from Parker.
Oh, yeah. 22 of 31 for 247 yards and a touchdown. By all means, that's a solid stat line. And then you see he had 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
I feel like we really need to talk about the defense this week.
Absolutely.
Specifically, we were talking a lot with Rutgers that, the defense, the special teams needed to step up. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd say they stepped up big time.
Big time. Yeah.
63 total tackles, an interception, 4 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. They were definitely starting to get back into the usual Bobcat defense form.
Yeah, definitely. I loved what I saw from cornerback DJ Walker, who's a captain this year. I think he is a star on this team. The fire and passion that he plays with, and he had that one pick. I think, was that the pick that got called back, or? Okay, so he had that interception that was really nice. It did end up getting called back, but he had a great game, 7 tackles, 1 solo tackle, and then obviously Molnar with the MAC Defensive Player of the Week. Huge performance out of him.
Yeah, I mean, come on with Molnar, right? This, 1.5 sacks and tackles for loss, just absolutely leading this defense. We talked last week about this worry of, is West Virginia gonna run it all over the Bobcats defense?
Nope.
And 250 total offensive yards.
Right.
We were especially worried about Nico Marchiol, and he got taken out of the game in the fourth quarter there, and the Bobcats really shut him down. So defense stepped up big in this one.
And even as a unit, not just the players, you just mentioned the 250 total offensive yards for West Virginia. Compare that to the 429 of OU. That just goes to show how good the Bobcats' offense rolled against
yeah.
West Virginia's defense, and also how crucial that defense was, especially that second half, because they didn't score any points in that second half.
Yeah.
So having a unit like that, you can kind of trust to be your security blanket if the offense isn't really in its momentum. I just think that's a huge part of being a good football team.
The fact that WV had 3 takeaways and I feel like we should have won this game by more, honestly. But the fact that they had 3 takeaways and we were still able to win this game is a testament to the defense, for sure.
And that was our biggest question coming in. Look at how this defense started against Rutgers, right?
Yeah.
Second half played lights out, but is it going to be the same story here? Absolutely not. So, big credit to them.
And, yeah, I mean, we were a little worried, too, especially with 393 rushing yards against RMU. But, no, the Bobcats were able to handle them. 72 rushing yards total. But with that, let's move in, because next week we've got a huge game ahead of us as OU prepares to face OSU in the Horseshoe. I mean, what are we thinking about this game? What are we expecting?
I've got a bold prediction for this game, and I've said it a couple times
Here
this
we go.
week. Parker Navarro will score more points on OSU than Arch Manning. Now, I'm not saying that those points, I'm not necessarily saying that will be Parker's going to score 20. I mean, Arch only was able to score, was it 7 on them?
Yeah.
7 points. So I really think that Parker Navarro will, in this offense just in general, be able to at least get a couple scores on this team, especially if OSU gets out early, they start playing back a little bit. I think the Bobcats can show
That's
them.
the only reason why.
Yeah, see, this is where I'm a little worried about that take, though, because, yes, OSU just put up 70 on FCS Grambling State.
Right.
We don't know if the starters will get taken out of this game. This is OSU's last tune-up before Big Ten play.
Yeah.
And I think the Bobcats will keep it closer than 70-0. I would sure hope so. And I think, if this is a 40, 45-point game in the fourth quarter, maybe even then, in those last 7 or 8 minutes, only then do we see the starters get taken out for OSU.
Yeah, honestly, I don't
worried.
think it'll get that ugly.
I don't think it will either.
What do we think for score predictions? Just because I'm thinking mid-40s for Buckeyes, and then I don't think that's a ridiculous take at all that Parker is going to score more than Arch Manning.
No.
And as crazy as that sounds, comparing us to the Texas Longhorns, we have a good team. This offense is really good. I think we could put up at most 21, 24 points.
I was going to say, I'm thinking around there, mid-40s for OSU, but I could see us putting up about 21.
Yeah,
Now,
I don't think that's crazy.
Question for the table. Who do we think will step up for the Bobcats against the Buckeyes this week?
That's a great question.
Honestly, I don't think it'll be guys we're used to seeing.
Yeah,
I think the Buckeyes have a lot of playmakers, a lot of guys like Caleb Downs on defense. Caleb Downs probably going to lock Chase Hendricks up.
Great receiver, Caleb Downs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You saw that.
So it gives you other chances for other guys, receivers, to step up when Hendricks might be shadowed by Downs all game, or comparatively on defense, Jeremiah Smith and Tate, they might run away with it. So it gives you some corners, some chances to step up and prove it.
Yeah, I think we might see some wide receiver 3 numbers out of the Bobcats, as we have Igbinosun and Jermaine Matthews in those corner positions. So, like Luke said, our best players are going to be – sorry, I just said our. I'm a huge Ohio State fan, so this is hard for me. The Buckeyes' best players are going to be on OU's best players, obviously. So there might be some new faces making plays.
I feel like this has to be a big defensive statement for the Bobcats. 45 is not outrageous to say, but OSU could open it up even more if they really truly want to. So I think especially on the defensive secondary, we're gonna have to see OU step up.
Yeah, and they showed what they can do versus West Virginia. So if they can carry on that momentum, I'd love to see it.
And now moving on to OU volleyball, the Chattanooga Classic. Simon, I'll pass that off to you.
Yeah, so second weekend in a row, OU volleyball goes 1-2 at their invitational. Cincinnati Bearcats go 3-0, and that's where we'll start. OU, Cincinnati, they lost that match 1-3. And when we look just at the stats for this matchup, it was pretty even. Big difference, Cincinnati, 14 blocks, Ohio, 3. And then Ohio, 34 attack errors to Cincinnati's 14. So there's 20 points and a swing in a 4-set match for you right there. Bobcats won the first set, 25-23. Next two were not necessarily close. They did not put up more than 14 points in either of those sets, and then quickly got down 5-0 in the fourth set, eventually pushed it to overtime, lost 26-24 in that fourth set. And to start off the weekend with a loss like this, that we were going into the weekend thinking, okay, this is a chance for the Bobcats to maybe flex their muscles a little bit. They've been swinging above their weight class so far this season, and they've been landing punches. They haven't been non-competitive, but it was a little underwhelming, and I think I saw some flashbacks to the 2024 team just in the inconsistencies that we saw, and in the fact that Ohio has the talent and skill to compete with a program like Cincinnati. They won a set, they pushed a set to extras, and they just dig themselves in a hole really early and make it hard for themselves to get out.
So you said that they kind of dug themselves in a hole with this Cincinnati game. What did they do? What did they take from that game and kind of apply for the rest of the weekend there?
Yeah, so big takeaway for me, Matty Long, Bailey Blair, the bright spots of this offense. These two freshmen, and we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, but, I mean, they are leading this offense far and away the best two players that this offense has. And I think if the Bobcats can just learn to maybe build them up a little more and really take advantage of that youth and the fact that they don't have a lot on film, but they're kind of having their way with these defenses. It gives the Bobcats something to build on.
And a name that we've kind of brought up a few times in the past couple weeks is Kendall White specifically. What did she do going into that second game against Chattanooga?
Kendall White, 45 of OU's 59 assists in their 3-1 win against Chattanooga.
Wow.
That, I mean, are we serious right now? That is unheard of. That is just absolute dominance right there. And this is a game that if OU didn't take this game, I would say this weekend would be a complete failure. Looking for a bright spot in this weekend and in an invitational where you're hoping maybe you can upset a couple teams, finally get this win. And, yeah, I mean, Kendall White, I think that's all I need to say about that match.
You'd mentioned, Simon, that Kendall White had 45 of the team's 59 assists against Chattanooga, but we also can't forget to talk about the fact that she had 17 digs and 6 blocks throughout the entire weekend. Simon, how do you think her leadership will kind of help bring up some of these freshmen and kind of help them grow?
Yeah, I think her leadership will be essential to how the rest of the season looks for the Bobcats, especially with only 2 weekends left before MAC play. I mean, you're bringing in a first-year head coach. You're bringing in some freshmen who are getting significant reps with this offense, who are leading the offense. And you even have veteran players like Darby Ricketts, who we saw a lot of last year as a freshman, in a much more rotational role so far to start the season. So it is absolutely essential. I don't think we can overstate the importance of having a senior like Kendall White, who's been there, done that, and can lead this team with her experience.
And then now going in their third match, coming off a big win against Chattanooga, what kind of happened during that game?
Yeah, so OU drops their third match to Jacksonville State, 2-3. It was their first 5-set match of the season. Lost the first, won the second, lost third, won the fourth, and lost the fifth. And in this game, what stuck out to me is 21 service errors for Ohio. In a game of momentum, especially in a 5-set game like this where you're trading blows with Jacksonville State, you're going back and forth, 21 service errors is far, far too many.
And to me, the biggest thing I see here is just the struggle to keep consistent play through all of the sets. Like, they won every other set. They won the second and fourth, and they dropped everything between that. So I just think they really need to pull that momentum to the next game, or else they're going to come to that next game, and we see how they fall flat. So I think that'll be a big question to see, I don't know, teeing up the Invitational this weekend.
Yeah, I was just about to actually talk about that. So coming up this weekend, the Dayton Beaver Creek Invitational, hosted by Wright State. I mean, this is looking like a tough weekend for them.
Yeah.
I mean, Ohio State Friday, Saturday Pittsburgh, and then on Sunday Wright State. I mean, what are we expecting from this Invitational this week?
Yeah, football is not the only sport playing Ohio State this weekend. Volleyball team has Ohio State on Friday, and OSU is coming off of a 3-set loss in straight sets to number 11 Florida, and they're led by transfer Hannah Jones, who played last year at Memphis, won all-conference second-team honors for 3.45 kills a set, so she's leading the way offensively for them. Good news is the last time the Bobcats played the Buckeyes at a neutral site, they won 3-1. That was a decade ago.
History repeats itself.
That was a decade ago, but we know history repeats itself, right? Moving into Pittsburgh,
Yikes.
This just makes me nervous to even talk about. Pittsburgh is hosting number 3 Kentucky as we record this, so they also get to warm up this weekend's Invitational with Wright State before they get the Bobcats. So Ohio is going to be playing a team that either just upset the number 3 team in the country, or probably lost a close one, and likely beat Wright State heading into their matchup on Saturday. So, they have to come with their best stuff on Saturday if they even want to keep this competitive. But Ohio, 2-0 in the series. Once again, they have not played for a long time, but hopefully that is a good sign for the Bobcats.
And then jumping on, they play Wright State Sunday, as we're going to move into OU soccer. On last Thursday, Ohio University hosted Northern Kentucky University at Chesa Field. The Bobcats ended their game with the Norse with a 1-1 draw, which I'll give them credit for. That is a perfectly fine ending to a very tense game against a team that is currently undefeated. I mentioned last week, kind of while talking about it, that I was expecting this to be more of a keeper battle, and what an ending for a keeper battle, ending 1-1. The Norse's defense, though, was in top shape. OU outplayed Northern Kentucky in every statistic except saves, but just was not able to get anything fully going to take the win. They put pressure on the NKU defense. They recorded 16 shots, 8 on goal, 1 save, and 5 corner kicks to NKU's 8 shots, 2 on goal, 7 saves, and 3 corner kicks. So, they came out with this energy, but they just couldn't get it done against a brick wall. I've got to give a shout-out to Iro Fakenau around the 67th minute mark for finally putting one in to tie it up after NKU scored first around the 16th minute mark. So to kind of further emphasize that this team was just, the NKU defense was just incredible. The Bobcats weren't able to retaliate for about 51 minutes of playing time, and they put pressure on the defense. 5 of 16 of their shots came from the last 10 minutes of play. So they that time started counting down. They saw about 10 minutes left, and they just started shooting and just putting as much pressure on. I've got to give props to them. To the Norse, they were able to keep up with a fast-paced, super pressure-focused game, especially goalkeeper Donna Bundy. The Bobcats are showing time and time again that they can put pressure on the other team heavily, but we're not seeing them fully close out some of these games, which I'd at least like to see them keeping the intensity, keeping it going. I mentioned that last time. Sonia Deering saw 23 minutes, and 5 players saw all 90 minutes of the game. Celeste Sloma, Maya Kaufman, Maya Solis, Sarah Helfenstein. So OU will advance to 2-2-1 and NKU to 3-0-3. Moving on then later on, Sunday night, Ohio traveled to Bloomington, Indiana to face off against the Hoosiers. Unfortunately, they fell to Indiana 1-0. But it was kind of back and forth, but I've got to give Celeste Sloma her flowers. She played all 90 minutes, fended off 9 shots on goal, and 8 saves, as Indiana had 23 shot attempts.
Yeah, Jack, and like you just shout out Celeste Sloma, she played amazing. And I used to play goalie back in middle and high school, and being able to fend off 23 shots on goal in a game, I mean, that's crazy. Like, her defense has to give her a little bit more support than that, especially if they're only really generating 12 on the offensive front. So I think the defense needs to give her a little bit more support. But I also think that this was a crucial game for the Bobcats to get some more out-of-conference experience. You just played Northern Kentucky, now you're playing Indiana, and that segues you into MAC play, where like with volleyball, like with football, like with every other sport that starts out of conference, you know what your team has to work on. You've seen many different schemes, many different conferences of teams. So now when you go into MAC play, you kind of know how to tackle, you know how to, I guess, make an audible when issues on the field arise.
Yeah, and actually speaking of MAC play, on this upcoming Sunday, the Bobcats will travel to Michigan to face off against their first MAC opponent, the Central Michigan Chippewas. Now, this is a team that Ohio has fairly consistently struggled with. They've gone 4-9-1 all time. But the Chippewas team has struggled to start the year, and they've finished in the bottom half of the MAC conference since about 2022. Luke, are we thinking anything for this game?
I'm expecting it'll be close, but I think the Bobcats can pull this one out. I think they kind of had a rocky, out of conference, but like you said too, Central Michigan also hasn't came out the gates hot. So I think this will be a good game just for both teams, just to see who kind of wants it more. And I think this will be a big tone setter for the rest of the season, starting off MAC play on a positive note and then rolling through the rest of your MAC schedule.
Now, moving ahead, I know we're all very excited to talk about the NFL as Week 1 is here. So, 12 of 16 games were decided by 8 points or less. We got an amazing Week 1.
Amazing.
I mean, Buffalo, Baltimore. We got Browns, Bengals, although I'm sure Simon and I are really the only ones excited about that at the moment. We've got the Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Chargers.
The Monday night game was really good too.
Oh yeah, that was a really good
Bears
game.
Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what do you guys think was the best game of the weekend?
God, that Bills Ravens game. That was one of the best NFL games I've watched in a long time, honestly. And this Week 1 as a whole, honestly, really kind of like reshaped a lot of my preseason biases and thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, this was a crazy Week 1, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything I thought I had known about the NFL going into the season completely flipped.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was watching the Bills-Ravens game. It hit, I think, about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I saw they were down about...
It was 40-25.
40-25.
Yeah.
I said, all right. I had told one of my friends that after the game I was going to get on, play some video games with him. I was like, all right, I'm done. I was like, y'all got this game. Like, the Ravens won.
Fumble.
I start going down immediately as I make it into my room. I hear the fumble on the TV, and I just go, never mind. Turn right back down and sit down, and I am so glad I did. I mean, Josh Allen, 33 of 46 for 394 yards, with 250 of those passing yards coming in the fourth.
Wow.
And 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, that is an incredible stat line.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm so grateful. So grateful that we were able to watch Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen just duke it out. Like these are easily the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and just watching them go against each other it's just beautiful, and hopefully we see it again in the playoffs.
You're lucky our friend Jamie Spears isn't here to
fight you about Joe
tell
Burrow.
you about those best 2 quarterbacks in the
ridiculous.
NFL, but
it really shouldn't be a debate. It's these 2 guys.
And to your point, this is what we've come to expect from these guys, this kind of performance in this kind of big game. But, I mean, how lucky are we that we got it in Week 1?
Oh, yeah, especially.
Beautiful.
I mean, I don't know if any of us would have expected to get the product that we got, especially to start the season. You never know how these guys are going to show up to start the year. you hope that you get a game like this in week 13, 14.
Yeah.
It's week 1, and we just got game of the year.
That's a great point. Sorry, Jack. That's a great point. You like you said, you never know what you're going to get out of week 1. Sometimes these teams are really rusty. These guys haven't played snaps in the preseason. It looked like, I mean, both these teams came up short in the AFC playoff race, but both of them looked better than they did last year.
Way better.
Like, that's just awesome, and it's very rare you get a Game of the Year candidate in week 1.
I was going to say, yeah, they were looking like, if that was the AFC championship, I'm fine with that.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
That would be an
Yeah.
electric championship.
Definitely.
I'm like, cool, I'm done. But we have one other game we at least need to talk about.
Come on, Simon. What happened?
Browns Bengals.
What happened, Simon?
Simon, if you want, I'll let you start.
7 yards. 7 yards.
That's all you need to say.
7 yards for the Bengals in the second half. How do you lose that game? What are we doing? Defense is so back. This is what we've wanted. This is what we wanted from the Browns defense.
That
Oh my
secondary
gosh.
was awesome.
This defense is back.
Yeah.
7 yards in the second half for the Bengals. You could watch 100 games. Only the Browns would lose that. Only the Browns would lose that.
Yep.
Oh, how I've missed watching this disgusting, terrible brand of football that we
It'll be
play.
a long ride this season.
I will say I am glad that it looked like Denzel Ward's always great, but
Yeah.
it did look like Greg
Played really
Newsome was
Yeah.
really stepping up
Yeah,
with
Newsome
Martin
definitely.
Emerson's absence. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that they're easily the best cornerback duo in the league.
I would agree. And
I don't think that's that crazy.
I mean, it's week 1, but
It is. I will say it is only week 1. I might be jumping the gun a little bit, but I
it's
was
a
liking
good
what I
take.
was seeing out of that defense.
it's a good take. And we're gonna be beating a dead horse by the end of the season here, but Myles Garrett is the best player I've ever watched play football.
Right.
Like, it is absolutely insane, especially on that last real drive for the Bengals. I mean, he took over. He literally played the whole drive himself, the whole series, and I don't know what the offense is gonna do moving forward. They didn't look absolutely terrible.
I
but
was gonna
it's
say
just-
I actually I'm looking right now. They outperformed the Bengals offense with 327 total yards to the Bengals 141.
Cedric Tillman is back, baby.
Cedric Tillman is back.
Yeah.
He's been good. I thought Joe Flacco looked really good. I know he had two. I will say
The drop. Okay, they were drops. 2 of the picks.
two of the he did. I know he had 2 picks, but
that last pick.
not
Yeah,
all of.
no,
They're not fully his
Yeah,
fault. I won't
right.
place all the blame on him.
Right.
You know, he is 40.
Right.
I'll give him a little bit. I'll cut him a little bit of slack, but everybody else I was really happy with. I mean, Cedric Tillman, like you said, looked good. I was not expecting to see Harold Fannin out there as much. He looked great. I mean, he had 7 receptions for 63 yards. Can't complain about that.
Mac legend, baby.
Mac legend Harold Fannin.
He looked awesome.
Look
He
really
did.
good.
I saw one play pretty early on where I noticed they had both David Njoku and Harold Fannin out there blocking,
Yeah.
and I was just like, yeah, that's what I want to see.
That's beautiful.
You
Absolutely
got
what I wanna
two big tight ends. They both can block. Let's throw them out there and just start cooking up. Dylan Sampson, I was pleasantly surprised by. He had, rushing-wise, 12 carries for 29 yards. Receiving, he had 8 receptions for 64 yards. I've seen so much about with Quinshon Judkins this offseason that I kind of forgot that Dylan Sampson is also like that, and he can be a problem. I was pleasantly surprised. I don't know about you, Simon, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think he can be a problem, and his numbers are kind of underwhelming in the run game there, 29 yards, but it does feel like he had more of an impact. But to your point, we haven't seen Quinshon yet, and I think, we expect him to be back next time we see the Browns, and I would love to see more of that 2 tight end package and see what is going to happen when you get a real RB2 with the potential to step into that RB1 role. What happens when you have that big personnel in there? What happens when you have more dynamic backs in the backfield?
That is the true nature of the Stefanski offense. That's how he wants to run it.
Right.
And, you guys have the potential for sure.
And Simon, I have a question for you because Jamie might have a different answer to this, but when you look at the end result of this game, Browns-Bengals, what about the Bengals side of this? The Bengals were held to 7 yards in the second half. And, I mean, it feels like all offseason, preseason long, they've been talking about how bad their defense is. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when you look at the final score and into other weeks, you know, what does this game reflect on more? The Bengals win, but also maybe some problems there, but also the Browns for playing a team like the Bengals who have playoff aspirations.
Yeah, I think immediately after this game, I get a text from a friend, and he's like, how'd you like that try not to win competition we just watched? And I don't know if we can draw like real conclusions based off this game, but I think the Bengals have reason to feel good. Mm-hmm. It was a super ugly win, but when's the last time they won in week 1? 2021. Yeah, they went to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't something that we expect from Cincinnati in week 1, and it was not pretty, but they got it done. Joe Burrow played pretty well, and I mean, he's only going to get better as the year goes on. So I think the Bengals are still feeling good, even though it was not a great win.
Yeah. They got to stay healthy.
Yeah, so we got an incredible week 1. Now, looking ahead, what are some matchups you guys are starting to circle, you're really excited for in this upcoming week? Because me personally, I mean, Browns-Ravens, of course, but I'm honestly looking forward to Commanders-Packers on Thursday Night Football. Yeah. I think that should be a very good game. I mean, high-powered offense with Washington. That defense for Green Bay was really good last week against the Lions. You got 2 younger quarterbacks.
2 younger teams.
In general. I think at least last year I saw something that I think the Packers were one of the youngest teams by average age.
I'm pretty sure they are the youngest team, yeah.
So, I mean, I think that should be a good game, but what games are you guys looking ahead for?
I mean, the obvious pick is the Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, it'd be a huge game.
I think the Eagles are still a force, and the Chiefs are kind of regressing a little bit, but I still think it'll be a close game.
Yeah. I have Bears-Lions circled on my on my sheet here, and I mean, Ben Johnson's return to Detroit, I think we saw in week 1. I think we saw some promise from the Bears, and I think what we saw from Detroit was, oh my gosh, was Ben Johnson really like the thing that made this offense? And it was kind of crazy, but just the fact that he's coming back to Detroit, and I mean, this could be huge in terms of like even playoff implications week 2. This could be like a huge statement for the Bears. I'm serious though. It could be a huge statement for the Bears if they go to Detroit and make a statement win in week 2. You're feeling good when you're playing them again in your place.
And the week 2 in general, because week 1 was so good, like 12 out of 16 teams were decided by 8 points, it makes this week 2 slate even make it look even so much better because so many of these games were so close.
For sure.
That, you know, you look at a game, and I'll discuss this in Upset Watch a little bit later, but you look at a game like Falcons-Vikings, 2 teams, like Vikings just scraped that out. Falcons lost literally at the buzzer off a field goal. So there's a lot of games this week where it was hard to pick some winners in some of these.
I agree.
Now, moving ahead to our Deal or No Deal segment, I've got a couple deals to propose to you guys, and just all you guys got to say is deal or no deal and quickly explain why.
We're so back.
We'll start over here with Andrew. 3 AFC teams will make the playoffs this year.
AFC North teams
will make the play. Yes.
This is a good one because the past 3 years, I feel like this just seems possible every year with sorry, Simon, but the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers.
Get out of here.
I mean, it really does seem possible every year with how stacked this division is. As far as this year, I think the rest of the AFC is also really good. So just because of that, I'm going to say no. But I think the one out is going to be like a 9-win team.
I'm going to say deal. I think this division is good. It is competitive. Could eat itself alive, and that scares me a little bit for this proposition. But I mean, these teams we saw in week 1. I mean, just good showings.
Yeah.
This one's tough, but I think I'm gonna go no deal here. AFC North is a tough conference, but because I'm a Broncos fan, I gotta look at the AFC West, which is also gonna be a tough conference. So I think what will happen, like Simon said, I think it's gonna be not Simon, Andrew. I think it'll be like one team maybe wins 8 or 9 games, but they fall short.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to say deal. I think they can do it, although I do think there are a lot of talent in the AFC, and there's a good chance that this division just ends up eating itself alive by the end of the season.
Definitely.
Now, though, jumping ahead to the NFC South, Emeka Egbuka wins NFL Offensive Player of the Year.
Deal.
Or Offensive Rookie of the Year. We'll start with you, Luke.
Whoa, okay. I mean, I guess that's my answer then, yeah. Nothing more needs to
All
be
right,
said.
I'm going no deal here. I love Emeka Egbuka, big OSU fan, so I loved watching him basically helping the Buccaneers that game. But I saw a tweet where it said how the Buccaneers basically have 3 wide receiver, like 2s or 3s, because they have Egbuka, they still have Chris Godwin, they have my boy who won me a fantasy championship last year, and Jalen McMillan.
Oh, my God.
So I think it'll be Tet, because looking at this Panthers receiving room, I mean, Bryce Young does not really have much help. And Tet played pretty well in that loss. Weird weather delay. But I think there's a lot of other guys with open, with more, like, I guess, playing time, more, like, less cluttered rooms behind them.
Okay.
Put me on the hype train. I'm saying deal.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 catches, like, not going to jump off the page of you, but 2 touchdowns.
Right. With the game winner, too.
Guys, Emeka Egbuka is the second player since the merger in 1970 to catch a game-winning touchdown pass in the final minute during his first career game.
Wow.
I mean,
Since
he's here. He's on the scene. And to your point, Luke, if they have 3 wide receiver 2s, so what? Who's cornerback 1 going to guard?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not Emeka Egbuka. That's going to get him more open looks.
Yeah, give me deal. That is a stacked wide receiver room, but those wide receiver 2s ain't Emeka Egbuka, and he showed his impact week 1, and I think he's just going to keep building on that. So deal.
Then we'll move on. The Cleveland Guardians will steal an AL wildcard bid.
That's a hard one. I'm going to say no. So they are 2.5 games out from the Texas Rangers, who are tied with the Mariners to take that last spot. And 2.5 games doesn't seem like a lot, but, I mean, this Mariners team, they just have to take the last spot, right? Like, I feel like they just have to with the talent that they have and the year that they've had. And as much as I love the Guardians, I don't think it's their year. I think the Mariners are going to step up and take that and keep that last spot.
I declared the Guardians season over last week on this show, and in true nature of being a Cleveland fan, we are so bad. This is easy deal.
Okay.
I mean,
I love it.
only 2.5 games out of that spot, and only AL Central opponents left on the roster. Like, it is time to go. And
how many series is it versus Detroit? Do you know? Okay, because that might get a little sticky there.
Yeah. 3. But we've seen him start to play with a little more urgency. I think it's not out of the question.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go deal here, just because, I mean, I'm a Guardians fan, and I think that they've played pretty rocky this season. I know there's so many games where they're always, like, at the average for standings. But I don't know. It's tight here in this last couple weeks of baseball, and I think it'll be interesting to see. They've got fight in them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go deal as well. I think it's possible. I agree with you, Simon. They're playing all AL Central mostly for the rest of the year. I think they can easily creep up on there. But moving ahead, we had another week of college football, and it was a great one. Andrew, I'll let you take over here.
Yeah, so definitely not as good as week 1 of college football, but we still had some very interesting matchups. Notably, the biggest game. Michigan traveled to Oklahoma to play the Sooners, and last week we talked a little bit about this game. Jamie Spears had some words to say, but what happened was kind of what we all expected. The Sooners dominated the Wolverines, particularly with that defense. They held Michigan to 146 team rushing yards and only 142 passing yards, which is not good. Freshman Bryce Underwood was 9 for 24 with a 37.5 completion percentage.
Sorry,
this
Jamie.
This is his first. I mean, it's his second ever game. I mean, it's an away game. Like, that's kind of what you expect from a freshman, but that is not best freshman in the country territory there at all. And on the other side, we have John Mateer, and he was lights out this game. He really shined in this game on the ground. He had 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. And, yeah, he looked really good. I think he's going to start soaring up draft boards. And I just want to touch on more of this Michigan team. That 75-yard touchdown run by Justice Haynes was accounted for like 50% of Michigan's ground yards. So without that one run, I mean, this is a way uglier game for Michigan.
Yeah,
and
I think literally was like even halfway through.
Exactly.
They had 146 rushing yards in the game.
Oh my!
He had a 75-yard rushing touchdown. I mean, that's just that's
so like
a little scary.
You see 146, you're like, oh, that's not too bad, but you don't know the full story. And I think for this game, it really showed how weak Michigan was more than it showed how strong the Sooners were.
Right.
And I mean, last year we had changing of the guards in Ann Arbor, right? So Harbaugh leaves, and this team takes a step back. They still have this strong senior class, obviously Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant and them, and then Will Johnson. They won in Columbus, obviously, which was a victory for them, but it was not a good year by any means. I think this team is much worse than last year's team, like
Interesting.
especially because of those losses on defense. And I do think Bryce Underwood's more of a competent quarterback than than what they had last year. But, like, dude, this team did not look good on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you, Andrew. I don't think they're maybe they won't have as bad of a season as they did last year, but I don't know. Just expecting freshmen to come in like Bryce Underwood, I think he has a chance to still be really good.
Right.
Again, still a freshman. I just think expecting a freshman to come in like that, it's a tough spot to put him in, especially against an Oklahoma team. You're at Oklahoma.
Definitely.
They've got a competent quarterback who's played multiple seasons like Mateer. So I just think it's going to be an interesting season for them. I think Bryce Underwood's going to struggle coming out of these couple weeks, but I think he'll come out of that stronger and he'll have a good college career.
Yeah.
What did the other matchups look like this weekend, Andrew?
So as far as notable matchups, we had a huge upset in the top 25. We had South Florida beating number 13 Florida in the Swamp, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Just an unranked team beating Florida at home. Like, those fans must have been shocked. And I just want to touch on South Florida's quarterback, Byron Brown.
He's been balling.
This guy is a beast. Seeing him run the football, like, he does not look like a quarterback when he runs the football. Trucking dudes left and right. This South Florida team, things could get interesting later in the year if they're undefeated. I mean, like, this team looked really good. They beat Florida in their own stadium, and Byron Brown leads them to a number 18 ranking in this week's AP poll.
I was going to say, he's also leading the team in rushing yards in that game. He went 23 of 36 for 263 passing yards and a touchdown, and then had 17 carries for 66 yards. Their second highest was 5 carries for 36 yards. So, I mean, he really is doing it all for them.
Right. And then we had number 12 Arizona State falling to an unranked Mississippi State. And then we have Kevin Jennings and SMU, who had a huge year last year. They lose in a thriller to Baylor, which is just crazy. And then to round it off, we had some interesting games. I mean, a lot of good teams did their jobs, but a lot of other good teams kind of looked weird, and 2 of those being Iowa State and Clemson. They both survived scares versus unranked teams. This Clemson offense, just something is not right with them. So I'm pressing the panic button on them.
Yeah, and just 2 weeks ago I was asking the table, how do we feel about Clemson this year? Because we talked about, and the media talked about, just how their schedule looks pretty light this year.
Yeah.
But they've struggled so far. You talk about Notre Dame, they're a ranked team, but Troy's that's a Sun Belt team, and no disrespect to Troy, but they played Clemson so tight.
Yeah.
And I think it's something
16-0?
I think 27-16 was the final score.
I think they
were
went
up
up
16
Yeah, they did.
at half.
Yeah.
And it's not only that Clemson had an easy schedule coming into the season. This is a veteran offense that we're talking about.
Right.
I mean, they're returning 8 starters. They're returning Cade Klubnik, and like you would think, there's got to be some sort of chemistry here. There has to be some steps in place of how are we gonna improve on a disappointment that was last year. and we have not seen that.
No.
And it gives me reason to be concerned for Clemson.
And they've got Georgia Tech this week, and that's not. I mean, they beat Colorado week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just wish Connor was here to talk about
The ghost of
Clemson.
Connor. The ghost of Connor's whispering about Dabo Sweeney.
Dabo Sweeney.
But actually, looking ahead next week, we've got a lot of good games here. Andrew, what are you excited for this week?
Yeah, so we have a huge SEC matchup. We got the Georgia Bulldogs visiting the Tennessee Volunteers in Knoxville. This is always a great game. Last year, Georgia took this game 31-17. This year, things might look a little different. Bulldogs are coming off kind of a sluggish, unmotivated performance versus Austin Peay. Didn't look great. They only won 28-6. I mean, that's not what you want to see out of Georgia versus Austin Peay. And then on the flip side, the Volunteers, they set a modern-day program record. They put up 72 points versus East Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
So Joey Aguilar and the boys, that offense is electric. Obviously, Georgia's defense is always great. They got Gunnar Stockton at the helm. So lots of new faces on both teams, but I think Georgia could be walking into a buzzsaw in Knoxville on Saturday. As far as other games, we were just talking about South Florida, the top 25 Florida Giant killer. They have to play Miami, so that's going to be an interesting game. And then we have Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 0-1. Looking for them to get back on track and get a win here.
And this is big for them because if you lose this game, you might as well.
Right.
You might as well, because season goodbye for Notre Dame. It's a failure. You're not going to get a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's huge.
Do we think that A&M can flip the script this year since they lost to Notre Dame last year?
I mean, I think it's possible from what this Notre Dame team looks a little shaky. I think it's definitely possible, but I think Marcus Freeman's too good of a coach to let that happen, honestly.
I think they'll be able to do it. I mean, A&M's only played Utah State, I think, what was it, UTSA? So I think Notre Dame is going to probably be able to pull this off. Can I tell you guys a game I'm not excited for? I've seen so many commercials for Oregon and Northwestern at Big Noon.
What?
And I just, every time I saw it this weekend, I cringed because Oregon's going to blow the doors off of Northwestern. I just had to get that.
That's strange.
Yeah. Jack, if there's a game that I'm circling, it's Clemson, Georgia Tech, and we just talked about this Clemson team. Georgia Tech, if they can pull this game off, you would expect that they'll probably run the table until that rivalry with Georgia.
Yeah.
And then even if they lose that game, you're expecting them to then be in the ACC championship. Even if they lose the ACC championship, I mean, you're a 2-loss runner-up, and that gives them real viability to be a playoff team. So this is super exciting for me in week 3.
It's a bigger game than the rankings show, definitely. The Tigers better come right, for sure.
All right. So we'll transition into our upset watch, where we'll all pick an underdog that we think for this upcoming week. Guys, we are not doing good this year.
No. Hey, you gotta swing big, man.
We're 2 of 6 on the year. Connor's not even here to talk about the fact that his Raiders beating the Patriots pick was the only one right from last week.
I thought that was a kind of a safe pick.
Congrats to Connor, though. Come on.
So we'll move ahead. We'll start with Luke. We'll start with you.
First off, I just want to say my week 1 pick was correct. Cal did beat Oregon State, and they won again last week. So shout out Golden Bears.
There you go,
Luke. This week, a lot of honestly crazy NFL games, and I just kind of want to highlight a lot of interesting lines this week. And we talked about how tight that week 1 slate is. We've got some interesting lines here. Miami, -1.5 over New England. I mean, Miami's got.
I mean, that's a very small line.
Yeah,
like that's that's kind of nitpicky. I get it, but it is interesting.
Pittsburgh -2.5 over Seattle. I mean, these are just trends. I think these last 2 really showed my interest in that Atlanta-Tampa Bay game because Minnesota was -4.5 over Atlanta, and then my pick, which is Tampa Bay over Houston. I think Tampa Bay is going to do it. I have C.J. Stroud on my fantasy team, and, man, that O-line did not look good against the Rams last week. And Tampa's coming off an electric finish. Mika Igbukwe looked really good. I think they'll be able to beat the Texans.
All right. Simon?
Yeah, I've got USF over Miami.
Okay.
They're 16.5-point underdogs. Where is the respect
Yeah,
for the
I don't know what
Bulls,
that
man?
line is.
Yeah.
Where is the respect?
Maybe 12.5. Like,
Yeah, 16 and a half
Yeah.
feels kind of crazy.
This team has beaten number 25 Boise State and number 13 Florida. There are 2 games this season. I'm just like, I have to ride the hot hand, and if they get it done, they have 3 ranked wins in non-conference play. They have the best resume in the country up to this point, and I mean things get interesting, right? They beat Boise State in week 1, who was your presumed Group of 5 representative in the playoff. If they win this game, even if they don't and run the table, things get interesting. Can we see them in December? Maybe. But yeah, Byron Brown, absolute beast. The defense is going to have to play lights out, but I'm taking the Bulls over Miami.
Now, I've got to know, what do you think of Miami this year? Do you think they might be a little fraudulent? What are we thinking?
Okay, and I actually don't think. I think this is the most valid Miami team
they're
we've
good.
seen this decade, and
Okay.
we've seen Mario Cristobal win a big game in week 1. But USF just has the momentum, and I mean they're just streaking right now, and I gotta ride them.
I like it.
Now, Andrew, what about you?
Okay, I'm very excited to talk about this game. Simon touched on it a little bit earlier. Ben Johnson is returning to Detroit, right? This is going to be an awesome game. So something is brewing in Detroit. I don't know what it is. They did not look right last week. That Packers defense is really strong. It was in Lambeau. But like, dude, that run game that is always so dominant, it was stagnant this week. And I don't think they'll be that 15-win team again. I do think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be notably worse this year.
Yeah.
And I think Ben Johnson, like obviously him returning and knowing the Lions defense and stuff, and you could say vice versa. Well, the Lions defense will know Ben Johnson's game plan. Like, yeah, but I think Ben Johnson's going to have a really cool game plan for this Lions defense, and I think he's hungry to show this division and these fans that the Bears could be back and that he can coach a successful team without the talent in Detroit. And yeah, give me the Bears plus 5.5 over the Lions, and I think what it comes down to is Caleb Williams' play.
I completely agree. This week I have not been off to a great start this year, but I'm going to take the Browns over the Ravens. The Ravens are favored. It's a minus 11.5 line. Look, the defense was good last week. The offense was cooking more than I was expecting. The Browns always take one against the Ravens. Why not this week? You know, Quinshon Judkins is coming back.
Yeah.
The Ravens are hosting their 30th anniversary of their franchise as they host the Browns. I mean, they're not coming in.
Okay.
Come play spoiler a little bit. Jerry Jeudy had mentioned in an interview that I saw earlier when asked about any problems that the Ravens secondary pose, he said no problems.
That's what you want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'll probably end up either being a 45-0 Ravens blowout or 19-17 Browns win.
Yeah, why not get your one against the Ravens in week 2? And why not when the line is 11.5?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
That is, you don't see that in pro football.
Right.
I mean, this is a huge disservice to the Browns. I think even with the play that we saw in week 1, they can be competitive against a team that has real expectations.
And I mean, the Browns have won 3 of the last 5 matchups against the Ravens. So I mean, I don't think it's that ridiculous to say that they can take one this week.
It's an NFC North matchup. That is anyone's game. I mean, unless you're talking about like the Browns' 1-game win season, but traditionally in the last couple of 5 years, that's a dogfight. It's anyone's game.
Yeah, like you said, it's either going to be blowout or it's going to be a AFC North dogfight for sure.
So finally is our weekly awards where we decide the SportsBeat Game and Player of the Week. Game of the Week, I mean, come on. Ohio hits the road westbound onto 33 and I-70, heading up to Columbus. The Bobcats will take on the top-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes in football. It'll be a tough matchup, but an exciting one, especially after the game against West Virginia.
Definitely.
Our Player of the Week is volleyball's Kendall White in the Chattanooga Classic. She had 9 kills. No errors on 20 attacks, which is a kill efficiency of 45%. She was boasting the highest among Bobcats. 79 assists, which is the most on the team. The next highest had 37. On defense, she had 17 digs and 6 blocks. It was just an all-around dominant performance from her. If she maintains her current pace of 5.57 assists per set, she'll be in the top 10 for most assists in a single season by a Bobcat. Congratulations, Kendall White. Thank you for listening to SportsBeat on WOUB. I'm your host, Jack Zwiezinski, and with me is
Andrew Levites,
Simon Lupfer,
And Luke Schmitt.
You can find us on WOUB 1340 AM radio, online at woub.org/listen, and our episodes can be found on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and starting this year, YouTube. Don't forget you can follow us on Instagram at SportsBeatWOUB for more digital content, and we'll see you next week. This has been SportsBeat.